What's up, Flick fans? Today we're keeping it simple. I'm counting down my least favorite to favorite Deadpool movies. That's right, only the 3, so it's a simple video. Also, turn those notifications on because this is just the appetizer. This weekend we're doing an X-Men tier list, maybe the last one ever. First off, this doesn't work without you. I need your lists down below. Do you completely disagree? Are you the exact opposite? Have you seen all 3 Deadpool movies? Let me know down below and drop that like if you want more videos like this. And keep in mind, I enjoy all 3 Deadpool movies. This type of humor is my style, so they're going to work for me. The last one, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's actually pretty good. But first, I want to start with today's dishonorable mention.
Devil may care attitude. Strong guys.
At the bottom, it's Deadpool 2. Now, I still think Deadpool 2 is a good movie. I think it has some really nice emotional stakes, some heart in there, and one of the funniest sequences of any of the movies when he assembles X-Force and they all die. By the way, no spoilers for Deadpool 3, but I will spoil these. That scene, man, with Bedlam and Domino and Zeitgeist, and he assembles everyone, and then the guy that you can't see, it turns out it's actually Brad Pitt, and then they all just perish. It is genuinely one of the hardest things I've ever laughed at in a Marvel movie, because the first time watching this, I didn't expect it. Part of me was like, these are like no-name characters, but big-name actors. Are they really going to be in the entire movie? And the thing that got me excited about this was like, oh, Deadpool's assembling the X-Force. This movie's going to be fascinating. It's not that at all, but for the better. So that moment was great. I think Domino is a fascinating character. I'd like to know where she went. Where are they? Peter might just be the MVP of the entire thing. And we're introduced to a new younger villain in Fire Fist. Now, this kid's really funny. He's probably not a kid now, but I enjoyed the presence of this character, even though some of the jokes and gags involving he and Deadpool, and then Deadpool in general, this is probably the most misfires when it comes to the comedy of these 3 Deadpool movies, because a lot of the bits just don't work. And then you have some really cool sequences, like the showcasing of Domino's luck, which was really awesome in theory, but the CGI in that scene, it doesn't look all that good. So the first 2 movies specifically have lower budgets, and that's part of what makes them special, but I felt that a little bit more in Deadpool 2 because it didn't quite have as much style to it, even though the look of the movie is really good.
I like it a lot.
And I feel like David Leitch implemented what he knew in this movie really well. The action in Deadpool 2, now this may seem crazy when I say this because Deadpool 3 has Deadpool and Wolverine, it may be the best filmed action sequences, meaning David Leitch knows how to go about action scenes, and he films these in a way that showcases Deadpool's skill sets in probably the most impressive way that we've seen in all 3 movies, and so that element's really good. Still really funny, not hitting as hard comedically as the first or, say, the third, and then you have Josh Brolin's Cable, and it's really great seeing Josh Brolin play the straight man to Deadpool's comedically wild character, and they're not together on screen working together throughout most of the movie, so I'll say it's a lot different than his relationship with Wolverine in the new one, but it's a similar type of thing, and so I do believe the 3rd movie does that a bit better, but I still really enjoyed this one as a whole.
Right.
What keeps this in 3rd, the humor doesn't hit as hard, the story is not as engaging as the first, and I felt as if a lot of the bits were running dry quicker than the other 2 Deadpool movies. All in all, still a really enjoyable film, but I understand why it's the least liked by fans, maybe not critics. And admittedly, it has better heart than the first. This one's a little more convoluted, complicated, but what we see, especially that montage at the end, is kind of beautiful.
What if I told you we can make you better? You're a fighter.
Number 2. Wow, this is tough, and I had a big decision to make when making this video, and honestly, I'm still questioning myself.
Son of a bitch!
But I'm going, by a hair, the first Deadpool. It's the least complicated, the least convoluted of the 3 for sure. Maybe not as funny as a certain other one, but it has the humor and it showcases that humor. This was really lightning in a bottle because it was made on a low budget. What Tim Miller had made leaked online. That got fans excited. That's the entire reason why this movie was made, quote unquote, leaked. we know what probably happened. But it was all for the best because it delivered one of the most entertaining movies that Fox has ever done, and possibly the most entertaining X-Men movie up until that point. And I genuinely believe Deadpool 1 is a magical film because it's simple, it's a very straightforward origin story, but the breaking of the fourth wall, something we had never seen before, the opening credits sequence, something that they've tried to replicate multiple times. Nothing's going to be as fun as that very first one, and the first time we're seeing all of these things on screen. And Deadpool's companions in this film are so interesting. This is easily the most grounded Deadpool film of the bunch because it's the most simplistic Deadpool film of the bunch. But getting the first interactions with characters like Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Colossus, who was awesome the first time around, the love interest played by Marina Baccarin, who is just amazing in this role. And there's so many great things about this first Deadpool that we just hadn't seen in a comic book movie. Now, we had seen in a comic book, but I didn't think it would ever translate to screen like it did because creative control just wasn't really something we had seen a lot. Also, even though he may have overstayed his welcome in the second one, TJ Miller as Weasel was really funny in this movie. And, you know, there's certain characters that don't carry over into the third film that I do kind of miss, and characters we see a little bit of, but his camaraderie with Colossus, I really missed that in the third film specifically. We get it a lot in the first two, and that's one of the highlights of this one. And then, of course, playing on what the X-Men universe was at the time was just awesome to see. But this is also a tragic story, man. What he goes through is terrifying in a way, his origin, but then what he fights for by the end. And Ed Skrein is actually a pretty good villain. Admittedly, it's a very specific style of humor, but I love this first Deadpool movie. It did a lot for me, and it's one that I often go back to.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Hi, Peanut. I'm gonna need you to come with me right now.
Look, lady, I'm not interested.
All right, well, I'm sort of on the tick-tick, so upsy daisy.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Austin, you just saw the film, you're riding a high, and you do this all the time with Marvel movies. I do it less often now. I wanted to do it more than I did last year, but I didn't. And this is one of those, but wait, let me change the picture. Yeah! Yeah, baby! I still can't believe that's real. I can't believe that's real. I can't believe we have a Deadpool, Wolverine, buddy cop movie in the MCU, but also kind of in the Fox X-Men universe. And it's crazy. Now, another thing to stay tuned for on this channel, we're going to be talking spoilers like crazy, but I will just say this is kind of a love letter to the Fox universe. It has the big MCU budget, the big MCU backgrounds, the big MCU characters, and some are going to watch that and say, wow, it's just too much now, Austin. It doesn't quite have what those first two Deadpool movies had, but I will argue against that and say it has just as much of that, if not more so, because they're allowed to use this new setting as their playground and take some of these jokes the extra mile, take some of these concepts the extra mile, and implement this multiversal thing that has admittedly fallen flat multiple times in multiple movies, but in this movie, the sandbox that they're playing in is just vast enough for Wolverine and Deadpool to still shine in and have a lot of fun with. And that's why I believe this is the best Deadpool movie, because it's the most fun and entertaining Deadpool movie. I will say it may not have the most straightforward plot. It may be a little more messy than the first. I get some of the complaints, right? The humor's not for me. I didn't laugh all that much. I understand that, but did you really go into this thinking it would be any different from the other two Deadpool movies? If you laughed at the other two, you're going to laugh at this one. It's the same type of thing, except we're expanding our horizons and we're really playing on what the MCU has not been that good at as of late, even though, funny enough, this is a movie kind of doing the same thing that the MCU has been doing lately. It just does it better. It is a pure comic book come to life. I said that in my review. I'll say it here. On screen, visually, just a spectacular showcase of the love that we have for these characters. And I feel that love, right? X-Men Origins Wolverine, you didn't feel that love for Deadpool. 100%. It was atrocious the way they handled him. Here, with Feige involved, but more importantly, the execs that have been involved with the Deadpool movies, Ryan Reynolds specifically, you can feel as if they're translating those things beautifully. And the care that they had for the character of Wolverine here, not fully crapping on Logan's legacy, even though in the beginning they sort of do that, but they make amends almost immediately, and then they take it in an emotional direction, which I absolutely loved. Of course, the cameos are great. The nostalgia is fire, as the kids say.
Yeah, that's it.
Look, I need to chill. I could ramble on this for days. And we do that on the Movie Mode podcast this weekend, where we're also talking spoilers. But I just want to say, it really did feel like they put a lot of passion into this film. As, you know, much that's kind of crammed into the movie, as little as the villainous motivation mattered at the end. Wolverine and Deadpool on screen together, which is most of the movie. By the way, it doesn't really get off track in that way, is everything I've ever wanted to see as a comic book fan on screen. And Hugh Jackman, I'm not going to say it's his best performance, because that is Logan. It's the most fun he's ever had playing this character. That's evident. The way he bounces off of Ryan Reynolds is amazing. And what they throw in here for the fans. And look, I understand it's been a lot of multiverse stuff. It's been a lot of this, a lot of that lately. And okay, it's everything that's wrong with comic book movies. But you can do those things, but still have passion and love and just really witty dialogue and banter and things that keep you invested in what has went wrong for the MCU in the past. In this movie, it goes right. It does it justice. It does what it needs to do, and the audience is going to love it. Now, the question is, are you going to love it more than Deadpool's 1 and 2? This is my list. I appreciate you all for watching my list, and I'd love to know your lists down below. And like I said, stay tuned. We're going to be talking all of the Fox X-Men movies, and I'm going to place this next to the likes of Logan and Days of Future Past. So I'm excited for that. You all are the best. I'll see you soon.